All right. Let me take a quick look here, make sure we are live. And we'll give everybody here just a minute to join us. I see the viewers coming in. All right, welcome. Hey, Linea community. What's going on? We have a super exciting chat here planned. And so I know we're live on YouTube, on X. Definitely hit those chat windows, hit those comments. Let us know if you have any questions on this chat, as well as just keeping active. Super quick, we have a really exciting guest today. We're joined by Cam from Renzo. My name is Cam too, so we got Cam squared on the line. Renzo is a super awesome protocol that we've partnered with here at Linea, and I just won't do it justice on the intro as well as Cam, and so we'll pull him in just 1 minute. Super quick shout out to the Linea community, right? You guys. We have eFrogs, we have DAO votes, we have Easy ETH on lending markets. It's nonstop excitement across the board. And so let me pull in Cam here. Hey, Cam, can you hear me?
Ciao. All good on my end.
All right, awesome, dude. So we got about 700-800 folks live with us here today. All super excited to chat Renzo Protocol. And so, would love to get a little introduction from your end, a little bit about you, and then we'll dive into some highlights on Renzo and kind of chat through the protocol, the integration, things you can do.
I see you stole my handle, OXCam. I wasn't early enough. You were earlier. I know on all these intros, it's usually like a game of like, well, I've been in crypto since 2010, and I don't know. The reality is I've been in the industry professionally since 2019, but I mean, was for better or for worse using Bitcoin on Silk Road in college, so I've been through some of the cycles and held and sold, and then had a career in a totally different industry, but have been full-time crypto for the most part since 2019, 2020. Lucas, one of the founding contributors with Renzo, I've known for a few years now. We were both deep in the Polkadot ecosystem, again, for better or for worse, but we've been good friends and kept in touch for some time, and then was aware of what the Renzo team has been building since last summer with a restaking protocol. Kept in touch, was working in an advisory capacity of sorts, and then came on board to handle all of DeFi integrations, growth, that kind of good stuff over the past few months. So super exciting times. We've been live for a little over 2 months.
Yeah.
Hit $1 billion. That's a big milestone. And then no. And with ETH price down, ETH is at 3,500 and we're still at $1 billion. So that was kind of scary because we hit $1 billion when ETH was at 4K, and then the dump started happening, but we've maintained, which means growth. So
exactly,
we're happy that we at least have those extra zeros on our TVL for now. But really excited to be here and to be chatting with you. And we've been live on Linea for what, 4 or 5 days now. So
yeah, definitely, right. And I have to just throw out there, right. I'm a user of crypto as well, and so I've been neck deep in restaking and eigenpoints and Renzo, the whole nine. And I have to say, your product is just awesome, right? It's especially from a user perspective, it's super simple. That journey for the user is just spot on. And so I think we'll definitely talk about that later, like later on in this chat. But give us a breakdown, give us an LE5 on Renzo Protocol. And then I'm sure we'll dive into some of the restaking, vocabulary.
yeah, so Renzo is a LRT, or liquid restaking token, platform and protocol and strategy manager for EigenLayer. So it is the interface to the EigenLayer ecosystem, which happens to be securing actively validated services, otherwise known as AVSs, and as such are able to offer a higher yield than traditional ETH staking, right? So when EigenLayer goes live, we have all these AVSs that will connect into EigenLayer. Those provide rewards. So we have the ETH native staking yield, that 3.5% that everybody knows, the big boys, the LST protocols have, and then you're going to have a restaking yield on top of that, which is the big deal about these LRT tokens, right? But overall, our protocol abstracts away all of the complexity from the end user and enables what we think is easy collaboration between users and EigenLayer node operators. There's been caps that EigenLayer has had in place on certain LSTs. Native ETH has never been capped, but it's not so easy to get that 32 ETH, create an eigenpod, manage that eigenpod, pay all the gas,
set it up,
et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So our kind of raison d'etre, or reason for existence, has been to make it as easy as possible to restake. Our LRT is easy ETH, so pun fully intended, purposefully. But that's the very high overview of Renzo.
Yeah, and so I think it's very poetic, right? Easy ETH, and so like just to summarize, right? It's the Renzo protocol abstracts away some of the complexities for you to get that extra yield, by basically interacting in the EigenLayer ecosystem.
Yeah, it allows users to gain access to the primitive, to be able to deposit their collateral assets, to be able to have those restaked, and then to get a liquid token. And then it's our job, to have all these DeFi integrations so that, the benefits of having a liquid restaking token are really there, right? And those are some of the things that we've been working on specifically with Linea that we'll touch on with some of these launch partners. But
heck yeah,
lots of benefits.
Yeah, definitely. And I love that, we touched on Eigen, and so, I'm sure we'll define some more things as we go on. But I have to say, especially somebody working on a layer 2, right? Actively contributing to a layer 2. And we've been saying this for months internally, that it's really difficult to participate from the layer 2, and it's a huge opportunity in the restaking market, right? And so, you and I have discussed this for some time now, but the difficulty with actually participating from the L2 level is that you have to leave the L2.
Yeah.
Right? And like bridge off, go do it, and then come back if you want to. And so, can you talk a little bit about Renzo's strategy and that gap in the market that you guys saw?
Yeah, I think it's about incentive alignment.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll take a quick step back and describe some of the differences, I think, from Renzo and some of the other providers out there. The big point is that Renzo is the only project that's live that didn't pivot from staking. So that wasn't an existing LST protocol, doesn't have tech debt, so it's a brand new product, a brand new team. So the first to be built from the ground up, with restaking in mind, right? Cool. So with that said, our founders were able to make very thoughtful design decisions when it came to the protocol and its architecture, to be, one, built to scale, and two, to have aligned incentives. So, for example, we're the only platform on mainnet that can take in both LSTs, so ERC20 tokens, these liquid staking tokens like your staked ETH, and native ETH, and have one single liquid restaking token, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we use them as collateral. We pool those deposits together, but we mint one liquid restaking token, easy ETH. So one transaction, one token, otherwise fairly gas efficient, right? And we always need to be working towards efficiency with gas in general, I think.
100%. 100%.
Other platforms publicly vampire attack LSTs like staked ETH, and will take your staked ETH and then dump it and then turn it into ETH and then restake it. Other platforms only allow native ETH, but then you have to do multiple hops to then go to a stable to then go, et cetera,
and
right?
so forth. Yeah.
So there's a lot of thoughtful design decisions that we were able to make at Renzo because we were able to be built from the ground up with only restaking in mind, right?
Yeah.
Not building an L2, not building an ABS, not having to pivot from liquid staking, but focused on restaking and being the best restaking protocol out there.
Exactly.
So how we're approaching L2s, and it's a bit of a moat for us, is allowing native restaking on the L2 itself.
Okay.
Right? So true cross-chain native restaking. And to your point, restaking as a primitive, super exciting, here to stay. You know, we were speaking with Ethereum Foundation people in Denver, like everybody agrees. You know, it's a really big deal. Eigenlayer, really big deal. Eigenlayer points, really big deal. You know,
even bigger deal.
So, yeah, perhaps. So any of these users that otherwise have assets or TVL on L2s, to be able to restake, they have to leave. They would have to bridge out, pay fees, you know, friction and a user experience perspective, go back to mainnet and then restake. So what we're allowing that's different from any other LRT provider is native restaking on Linea, for example, itself. So you can go to the Renzo dApp, select Linea as a network, deposit ETH on Linea, press the button, immediately get minted easy ETH on the chain. And then that easy ETH that's on the chain can then be used in the whole flywheel of DeFi that we're setting up. Yeah.
You know what? I love this for a few reasons. And look, we got about 4,000 plus on, right? And so first off, from a user perspective, what I heard was, you know, there's really two main buckets, right? If I had to simplify this restaking game, and one is this liquid restaking. So, you know, taking your staked ETH, your Rocket Pool ETH, there's a whole, you know, group of them, and actually using that in the Eigen protocol. The other bucket is the native restaking. And this one is even harder, I think, for some users to comprehend, but it is quite literally spinning up these validators and then enabling them to interact with Eigen. And so I think your approach is again, it's a very beautiful approach, because no matter where that user is in their journey, you know, if they have the liquid staking tokens, if they want to participate in native restaking, it just simplifies this whole process. And so that was my first highlight from what you mentioned. That second one is the layer 2 participation. I get really excited about this because we've been chatting about it for some time, but there's just so much activity, right? And ETH on layer 2s. It's a great opportunity, not only for the native chains, but the protocols like Renzo, right? And so to kind of capture that. Now, for you guys to pull that off, you set up some pretty cool partnerships, you know, behind the scenes. We don't have to dive into the technicals, but give us a little rundown on kind of how does that ETH go from a layer 2, so, you know, user 1 clicks, that ETH then has to go down to layer 1, and some of the cool stuff you got going on there.
So there's bridging over the token, right? Which is one aspect, which is just, you can go to the Connects UI, for example, bridge easy ETH from mainnet over to Linea, right? That's the easy part. The hard part, and what's novel to offer natively restaking, you know, on the L2, is leveraging Connects, which is a great team that has this technology and a mechanism with their XERC20 token standard. So basically, you're not bridging Easy ETH from mainnet.
Yeah.
You're minting Easy ETH natively on each rollup. We're taking those native deposits. We're not fragmenting liquidity, and you're getting Easy ETH, fungible, composable asset on the L2.
Yeah.
So smooth user experience. Any asset they want to deposit, they always get back Easy ETH. So we're allowing users to interact with the smart contracts on the rollup itself.
Awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
Using Connext, super high level. We batch the transactions, send them back to mainnet. We stake it, restake it, send the message back to the L2 that the loop is complete. It's a burn and mint lockbox mechanism. But that's, the technology that we're leveraging here to allow the native restaking on the L2. So you're minting Easy ETH every time a user goes to our dApp, selects Linea, chooses to deposit ETH that they have on Linea. Yeah. They're pressing that button. They're getting Easy ETH immediately, live, active, composable, fungible, Easy ETH minted immediately on the rollup.
Absolutely. I think. Well, first off, for all the listeners, right? I think Connext is live on Linea, right? We're supercharging, the partnership for the use of Renzo and Easy ETH. So definitely check it out. I love the different solutions that come from this space, because the space is on the cutting edge, right? The restaking space. And so, yeah, now I want to take a step back and just kind of hone in. It sounds like from discussions earlier that like Renzo in that design was very, because it was built from the ground up, it was really focused on the users, right? And so, we have a ton of our community on here, and I want to chat a little bit on kind of what were some of the principles or the design principles that was top of mind for Renzo from a user perspective when you guys were putting this together and scaling up.
Yeah, again, it's about incentive alignment at the very top of the funnel and allowing us to work within L2s in different environments. You'll see that when AVSs go live, actively validated services go live, and how they deliver rewards that then go down to users. The fact that we are able to take in ERC20 and native ETH is really important.
Yeah.
But I think the main part is Renzo is DeFi focused.
Yeah.
Renzo is a DeFi in mind. If you look at Easy ETH, we're by far the most liquid LRT. Like, check the data, but we're by far. We have 75 million in a balancer pool for a stable pool.
Oh, nice.
We have over 100 million in a tri pool on mainnet. So starting with liquidity was super important. Liquidity begets liquidity, but none of these DeFi integrations can turn on until there's proper liquidity. And then the utility of holding the token for users can't be there if the DeFi integrations aren't turned on, right? So really thinking about it thoughtfully, step by step, to ensure that, it's great to have billions of dollars in TVL, but if you don't have a liquid token and you're a liquid restaking token, then what's the real benefit?
Exactly.
So what Renzo wants, if you think about Lido's staked ETH in 2021, DeFi summer, right? Renzo wants Easy ETH to be that in 2024 and in this cycle.
Yeah.
Ubiquitous, everywhere, liquid, de facto go-to collateral asset across all of DeFi. Baseline liquidity layer, right? And for that to happen, you really have to, you have to be liquid. Once you're liquid, then you can turn on incentives. Once incentives are there, then you can, there's a whole process.
Yeah.
That's there. And we've been really cranking on getting not only these integrations in place, but making sure that when we do have an integration, there's things to do.
Exactly.
There's places to be. There's yield to be had. Additional yield, et cetera. So yeah.
Cam, this flows in so well into into I love that, right? Like DeFi ready liquid restaking token. And so let's chat a little bit about I think about Linea and some of the things we have set up, and then we could take a little step backwards and say, what are some of the other use cases that you see leading all of these integrations. But really quick on Linea, I know we are we're connected with Connext, right, to actually enable that layer 2 native restaking. We have the Nile exchange as an AMM pool supporting ETH and EZ ETH. The Nile exchange is just an absolute baller team. They have very successful projects across the space. And so, working really closely with them on ensuring, incentive alignment, depth of liquidity, as well as some of my favorite stuff is integrations into lending markets. I'm a big looper. All right. For anybody listening, I'm big on looping responsibly. Okay. But I know, if I recall, we have integrations now with Zero Lend, which is live on Linea, and Mendy Finance, another lending market. I believe they're flipping their switch to enable Easy ETH probably today. And so, a little input, we can go right up the line. Let's chat about Nile a little bit and that experience, and then we'll chat about lending markets.
So the playbook has been to start with one DEX. Again, we want that liquidity to be as deep as possible, as quickly as possible, right? So that when we have a meaningful integration, it's meaningful and it's useful, and so we need that liquidity to be deep, quick, and we've incentivized the Nile pool there, so users can go in, get a 2x boost on easy points. Nile team has also incentivized that. I think it's 40% plus APY now for deposits
Nice.
into Nile itself. Yeah. We have partnership with Zero Lend, with Mendy Finance, some other lending protocols that are coming on board with Linea. Gravita we're in talks with, Qidao. Yeah, so CDPs, etc. I mean, again, when Renzo wants Easy ETH to be the go-to de facto collateral asset, we need these integrations to be in place, right?
Exactly.
So all of these launch partners are incentivized. So you deposit into Nile, there's 2x boost on easy points. If you deposit Easy ETH as collateral on Zero Lend or Mendy Finance, there's a 2x boost on your position in the pool for easy points. So that will continue to roll out, but that's a really big part of this is bootstrapping and having those incentives in place to get people to be minting and holding and using Easy ETH.
Actually integrating it within the ecosystem.
Right.
Yeah, and look, for everybody listening, I just whipped up the Nile exchange, and looking at this liquidity pool, it's one of the deeper pools on the protocol. So the Nile, and we're looking at on average about 18 to 43%, APR on that liquidity. Again, I like to call these kind of like derivative assets, right? They're kind of similar in nature. So Easy ETH and ETH liquidity pool. Definitely check those out. And we expect more incentives to come, epoch by epoch. And so check out the Nile. Now, Cam, I have to ask, when we get to, or when we talk about lending markets, like, what do you see people do? Do you see people looping, or is it quite literally get the exposure to Easy ETH and then, then go be more liquid with stable coins and so forth? I know it's endless. But
not financial advice, NFA warnings, etc. Where we have seen a lot of appetite, for these DeFi integrations has been with protocols like a Pendle, like a Gearbox, like a Zero Lend, like a Mendy Finance, etc. Where if users can deposit Easy ETH as collateral on those protocols, they can lever up their positions to then have a depending on the protocol and their setup, somewhat delta neutral-ish experience where they're leveraging up their exposure. And when they leverage up that exposure, that also means that they lever up their points exposure. And if we're offering a points boost on that protocol, then that means that they're, you get what I mean, right?
Fireworks.
Right. Yeah. Connecting the dots there has been pretty easy for the degens on crypto Twitter and otherwise so far, but it's a big deal. I mean, listen, like, lending is a huge part of DeFi. If not the biggest, sector of where a lot of this TVL is locked. And also, to be quite frank, that's sticky liquidity.
Exactly.
And that's sticky liquidity for Renzo. It's sticky liquidity for Linea. It's sticky liquidity for the protocols. So it's this true. It really is the flywheel. I know that term is kind of thrown out there all the time, but it's real in this case. It's a real metaphor that's happening that we're turning on.
Cam, that's what we call the F word in DeFi, the flywheel.
The flywheel. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I agree, man. And like, again, these like base level integrations on day one makes it actually usable for the user, right? So, again, like incentives on the Nile and on that liquidity, like this is really healthy incentives on a pretty deep pool, right? And again, we expect that to increase. Zero lend, Mendy finance, and more. Incentived with the Renzo points, as well as I believe some of them have their own little point systems going on as well now. Yeah. So like for our DeFi strategists or our DeFi sleuths, like check this out because there are some really awesome strategies, again, to try to have that delta neutral exposure while participating in multiple ecosystems. I mean, Eigenlayer, Renzo, the protocol level, Linea on the network level. So super, super fascinating to kind of see that. Now, we did touch upon Renzo points. We're not going to dive too deep into points, but just so the users are aware of kind of what's going on or how that game works if they're new to it. Can you give us a little LE5 there?
Points of Palooza. Points are here to stay. They're not going anywhere. I think on a personal level, I'm here for it. And we had the whole ICO craze and situation and fallout that has happened in years past. And that kind of shifted to a very VC focused, insider deal kind of vesting schedule focused experience. So points are a mechanism to allow users to participate in the protocol or in other ecosystems and be, rewarded in points for their participation and have those points tracked for their participation. Amazing. Every protocol has their own understanding of points, and we've seen other platforms like Blur have multiple seasons, or there's been other iterations of points, and there will continue to be. You had Starknet. There's been a lot of big airdrops, but we can't, obviously speak to any of that specifically. But I think points in general are here to stay. Points are with Eigenlayer. Points are with Renzo.
Cool. Yeah, and look, I mean, this is a Linea live stream, but I got to shout out, I got to shout out the points community. Initially formed on Warpcaster, it's just like really cool stuff around this meta, and it's always interesting to see what people come up with, right? Even Linea, actually, we have a point system. It's on chain, right? So it's just non-transferable ERC20s. And kind of like what you said, right? It's that narrative is such a great way to measure contribution, right? And it's taken off like wildfire. And so, I mean, is there a place where users can go to look at like the Renzo points, and where can they kind of read up on that?
We've had to hire a chief points officer
Yo.
because we're tracking. It's a lot of work to track an index, because you're not only tracking and indexing points on holders and wallets, right, on externally owned accounts, EOAs, as you would say.
Yeah.
We're also having to track, if it's a DeFi integration, that's smart contracts, it's vaults, it's V3 pool, so it's a big undertaking, but we take it seriously. So I
That's
mean,
amazing.
I don't know. They're here to stay. You can go on the Renzo application, the Renzo DApp. I highly suggest everyone go there, restake. We can show you how easy it is to restake and get easy ETH. But on the Renzo page, you also have a DeFi tab, so you can go to your portfolio. You can view your points there. We also have the DeFi tab, which we have a little bit of a backlog because we've been moving so quickly with all these DeFi integrations, but those will all be there for users as well to be able to view and track their points and understand where they're getting a boost on points and things like that. So definitely the Renzo DApp itself as the hub.
Okay, perfect. And so just to summarize, check out the Renzo DApp. You guys got the DeFi tab, which should provide some near real-time info on points, some aspects of what they're holding. And just kind of bear with you guys on any of the integrations or the points, but it's coming, man. Dude, I have to tell you, that's Chief Points Officer is probably one of the greatest titles that I've heard in crypto to date. And I hear a lot of crazy titles.
I mean, it's important. It makes a lot of sense.
Really
we have a big community. We have a lot of DeFi integrations that we're proud of, and it requires a lot of work, to be tracking all this, and whole teams of people. So if anything, that shows you how serious we take it. And
Exactly.
we want the community we want to be transparent with the points and how they're allocated, and we want to have that information available as fast as we can, and as transparently as we can on the DApp itself. So
that's amazing. Yeah. And so we'll pivot a little bit away from points, but yeah, guys, I mean, look, so far we've highlighted Renzo, right? Some of the ways that Renzo actually works, the partners, connects, enabling this process for the user, Nile, Mendy, Zero Lend, the list goes on. I want to highlight, I want to brag really a little bit about Renzo, right? So do you have any stats about Renzo up? I'd love to kind of get some highlights. What layer twos are you guys live on? What does that TVL look like across the board? Shill us a little bit, Cam.
Yeah, sure. So we have a little over $1 billion in TVL. That's with the ETH price at 34.98 that I'm seeing right now. But the growth has been pretty dramatic. Some other platforms, there's pros and cons to building from the ground up. We think a lot of pros, but some other platforms had a head start, right? But we're currently in third, closing in on second in terms of total TVL. But if you look at on DeFi Llama, the 1 month change, we've grown over 200% in the past 30 days.
No way.
So that's a pretty huge increase there that we're really proud of. If you look at, DeFi Llama has a liquid restaking category and separate page now. And if you look at it, like I'm looking at it now, we're the only platform that says one chain, 6 chains. So we're on ETH mainnet, Arbitrum, Mode, Blast, Linea, and BNB.
That's awesome.
So, all those are work in progress. Some of those, we're on Arbitrum, we have over, I think, around 35 million in TVL. On Mode, we have around 35 million in TVL. On Blast, we have around 13 million in TVL. In Linea, we're just getting started. So I think I'm a big believer in L2s, 4844, this is how Ethereum scales. This is the end game for Ethereum. I've always believed that. So it's super important that we have these integrations in place with L2s and be proactive instead of reactive. You know, that's another big piece of this is we don't want to cut corners, but we want to move fast and be, you know, in the right place at the right time already, you know?
Exactly, man.
So yeah.
I love when these things come full circle. I've been like a user in crypto, I think longer than I've worked in crypto, but like
Yeah.
I
Same.
agree. The L2 space is it's been fascinating to be a part of actually, but it is a little fragmented, right? And so all those chains that you mentioned, right? You know, we ensure that we're connected to from a Linea perspective with third-party bridges. So again, trying to enhance that experience for the user. And when I said this comes full circle, it's that native restaking on L2s and that XERC20 token, right?
Yep.
And so, you know, even evaluating this stuff a few months ago, you know, I think there were issues on basically the restaking token, right? The liquid restaking token being all over the place, you know, representing its set of validators. And so like that problem, I think is it's just so awesome that you guys kind of solved that while removing some of those other complexities. So that's more of like a shout out. Yeah.
We thank you. Like the user experience is important. We never want to fragment liquidity. There's a reason we went with XCRC20. It's not, you don't have lock-in like some of these other intra network, intra-bridge tokens perhaps that are out there. So theoretically, the standard itself can be implemented on other bridges, third-party or canonical.
Yeah.
So that, you know, every iteration of easy ETH on every L2 is inherently fungible and composable by using this standard there. So we're learning from other protocols' mistakes and past cycles and, you know, et cetera. But again, Renzo's trying to be really thoughtful with the decisions that they made from the beginning and really starting from the foundation to be able to, you know, have this liquidity and have this user experience for holders of it. Guys, we're a liquid restaking token. It needs to be liquid. Like at the end of the day, the end of the day, being, you know, it's complex, but a big part of being the best liquid restaking token is being the most liquid, which means available, no slippage, available in multiple environments, available in multiple DeFi integrations. You know, that's how I think about it, right? Like that's what liquidity and being liquid means, I think, in DeFi. So
I absolutely love that. And so like, you know, we probably got, you know, anywhere about 10 minutes left to come back and forth. And so, you know, I think really quick shout out. I mean, dude, we've covered so much. This was already an awesome talk. And so I know, you know, it's half education. It's kind of, you know, half making sure that, you know, the users know Renzo is available and just how easy it is. I want to touch a little bit about this restaking narrative, I think overall, and you know, would love to hear some of your thoughts as, you know, as a thought leader, somebody boots on the ground, if you would. You know, where do you see this going, and you know, why is it so important? We'll start kind of more broadly.
Yeah, it's here to stay. It's a really exciting bleeding edge. I mean, there's a lot of bleeding edge tech in crypto.
Yeah.
But a lot of it's niche, or some of it was before its time. You know, just because you build great tech, or it doesn't mean that it's the right, you know, et cetera. But everything's lining up with restaking and with EigenLayer, and it starts with EigenLayer. So, you know, they're the ones who have introduced restaking, this new primitive in crypto economic security. And that primitive enables the use or the reuse of ETH on the consensus layer. So, you know, these users that stake ETH natively or with an LST can opt into EigenLayer to restake their ETH or LST and extend that crypto economic security to, these AVSs or these actively validated services. So
Yeah.
big picture, it's about pooled security. I think I guess the very quick elevator pitch LE5 is pooled security, and allowing, you know, these other protocols that would otherwise have to bootstrap their own crypto economic security. They're able to tap into what Ethereum has built, right?
Yeah.
This $500 billion market cap, you know, whatever it is right now.
Yeah. Hyper secure.
Yep. Exactly. And then, you know, this provides a mechanism so that these AVSs, these actively validated services that use that pooled security, whether they're L2s themselves, rollups, you know, middleware, etc. We provide the economic security at Renzo as a pod manager to these services, this pooled security, and then those AVSs provide rewards, right? So there's a whole new
primitive
portion of this, which is the restaking yield, right? It really is. It's a game changer. And you're going to be able to, you know, I think everyone's very familiar with the 3.5% standard, right? With going with, you know, your staked ETH or your rocket pool ETH or, you know, et cetera. We'll see what Easy ETH as a yield bearing asset, natively yield bearing, looks like once EigenLayer goes live soon. But the benefits for users in DeFi applications, as it becomes ubiquitous, and you just holding this asset itself provides you X amount of benefits, let alone the fact of what you can do with it in these different DeFi integrations is super important. So I hope that answered some of your question, but I think restaking is here to stay. It's just the beginning. And the real benefits kind of trickle down once you have a token where you can restake and then have it be liquid and then be able to use it in X, Y, and Z integrations and DeFi applications is super important. Yeah.
I don't want to get too cheesy, right? I guess you'd want to say, but like really, like in all reality, when that end user interacts with the Renzo protocol, they're participating in like a very meaningful and much deeper, you know, new primitive on Ethereum. And so, you know, again, without protocols like Renzo, it might be a little bit harder for some newer users to actually interact. You know,
well, and it's allowing. Sorry to cut in, but I mean, it's like anyone building a new decentralized service on ETH has to bootstrap a new network. They have to secure that network. They have to raise money. You know, they have to secure all this crypto economic security. It gets fragmented.
Yeah.
Right. So in a way, what EigenLayer and data availability services, you know, the system that they're implementing is really allowing for the ecosystem, EVM, and beyond, I guess, ecosystem. There's SVM, and you know, there's all the virtual machines at this point, but they're allowing Ethereum and the ecosystem to really accelerate, in my opinion. We'll see, right? But to your point, it's like it's a bigger picture. We'll use the F word again, but bigger picture flywheel for the ETH ecosystem. You know, there's a cold start problem. You know, you want to launch a new protocol, you want to launch a new DEX, you want to launch a new blockchain, you want to launch a new middleware service. Like, it's not easy.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
And it's not cheap, and it's not always fast, and you know, so it's a super important new primitive that we're happy to be a part of, and you know, allow with our integrations on Linea and allow native restaking on different L2s, allow those users to also be a part of.
Yeah.
Right. Those users are able to restake with us into EigenLayer to enable this pooled security for all these really cool things to happen. So there's a little bit of a bigger picture there to consider outside of just the, you know, the points and all the other aspects. Not that those aren't important, but I think we're all helping to facilitate and grow the Ethereum ecosystem, generally speaking, which is cool to be a part of.
Yeah, 100%. And like, I'm excited to look back in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, even, right? Even like near term, and look back at the growth of Renzo on Linea. I think it's going to be fairly substantial from everything that we've heard from our users, from our communities. Everybody's pretty hyped up to get in there and start interacting with Easy ETH. Again, kind of like what you said, because it's so liquid. Liquid on mainnet, and now, right, we're working to make it liquid on Linea as you have on other L2s. So what about the future of Renzo, man? Like what do you guys have cooking? Give us a little insight. I know, from our interactions, dude, you're always running around, and it's some of the funnest, most fun conversations I have are with you. And so
yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah. What's in the public roadmap? What do you guys got going on?
Got a lot of things cooking. What's really going to be interesting is when AVSs go live. When these actively validated services are, have crypto economic security that's being provided by platforms like Renzo.
Yeah.
And how users can benefit from us allocating crypto economic security to those actively validated services.
Yeah.
That makes sense, right?
Yep.
So basically, once Eigenlayer goes live, then all these AVSs go live, and then the restaking portion of all this really starts to take place. LRTs in general add modularity and flexibility in terms of how these AVSs procure security capital.
Yeah.
I think LRTs are going to compete on total risk adjusted return.
Cool.
Versus LSTs, which compete on achieving parity with ETH.
Yeah.
They have the same node operators. They're all trying to get to that 3.5%. And that's, they have one token, one strategy for staking. You think about AVSs with LRTs, like even if you have 3, you can secure A, you can secure B, you can secure C, you can secure A and C, you can secure B and C, you can secure, and then imagine if you had 30 AVSs. Imagine if you had 300.
Exactly.
This is millions, seriously, millions of strategies that have to be taken into consideration of how you secure these AVSs. Does every AVS have a token? What is the value of that AVS's token and such those rewards? How much crypto economic security does an AVS need? Does every AVS need $1 billion? Like 1 billion, like Dr. Evil, like, do they really need 1 billion, or can they get, so all these deals are going to be playing out where, again, because of decisions that the founders made when building Renzo, we're able to take in ERC20s and native ETH. So in the same way that we can take in staked ETH from Lido and native ETH on the inflow as deposits for restaking, we can also take in ERC20 tokens and native ETH as rewards from AVSs, which means that if we can do that, we don't have to dump their token, and we can pool those rewards into a basket of assets that determine the price of Easy ETH. Easy ETH is a reward-bearing token.
Yeah.
So similar to Rocket Pool ETH or wrapped staked ETH.
Yeah.
It's reward-bearing. It's not rebasing. So the value of Easy ETH will continue to increase at a premium to ETH over time, right?
That's amazing. Yeah. Hyper bullish.
We can take in those rewards. So the value is that users are not going to have to go to a claim page and pay gas to get rewards of an AVS token that then they're going to dump and sell on the open market to then pay gas again to then bridge it,
Yeah.
You just hold Easy ETH. and you're getting the reward. It's reward bearing. The price of Easy ETH goes up, as these rewards are paid out because of the AVSs that we secure. So
This explains why Renzo and you are excited for Eigen to go live with AVSs, right? And same thing for our users. Same thing for our users over on Linea, the community. The more you integrate with Renzo Protocol, right? Easy ETH, responsibly. The more you get a little bit of exposure, working across the ecosystem. It's not just about restaking, right? We're about to have entire ecosystems built on top of this concept. And so again, taking part in that, it sounds like it's just really cool.
It's a whole other, there's all the DeFi integrations and the L2 integrations, but LRTs are going to win by having the best connections to AVSs and an understanding of which to choose and being able to manage the complexity the best. And that's where a lot of the differences in design from a protocol perspective will really, take place, show, right? And show why we made those decisions and et cetera. So we're excited. It's a lot to consider, but we're thinking long-term at Renzo. And
I love that.
There's some other, I'll put it this way. You've seen some L2s recently that are going to be restaking focused. You've seen some LRTs that have liquid staking tokens as well. We've seen some LRTs that are creating their own L2s, which is going to be an AVS that's going to compete against the AVSs that they're also securing. We're not doing any of that. I hope. Please God, no.
I know what you mean. You're focused.
We want to be the best LRT provider out there. And we think that there's more than enough space within Ethereum and otherwise in this market to be that go-to LRT. So that's our main focus.
That's amazing. Somebody quote that. Somebody quote that. Kick that in the Twitter comments. I just think like that's super meaningful. And so look, I know we're coming up on time. I want to do a quick summary, and then I want to kick it off to you to give a little closeout. How can they follow you on Twitter? How do they go check out Renzo? But really quick, I want to do just a high level summary. So the Renzo Protocol is enabling native restaking on the L2. We're live on Linea, and we are focused on trying to grow this on Linea. And so this is not just from Linea and Renzo. It's in collaboration with Connext that enables bridging, right? The Nile exchange for the AMM, Mendy, Zero Lend, really trying to integrate this across the ecosystem. I think the future is bright for restaking. This primitive is here to stay, right? There's a lot of capital. There's, the smartest minds, behind it. And so, being that you guys are at the forefront, I'm excited that the Linea users can kind of also, participate, right? And kind of be involved in this primitive. So, check it out. Check out the recording. If you missed anything, we've covered so much good stuff, and I'll kick it off to Cam here to kind of hit us with some of his ending shill.
I've been chilling for 53 minutes, but for the 7 minutes we have left, no, we're really happy to be here. We at Renzo know that we're going about things a little bit differently. I think that really shows in how quickly we can move and the L2 integrations that we have in place. We've mentioned liquidity, we've mentioned user experience, we've mentioned being DeFi focused. These are all important foundations and pillars to reach our longer term goal, which is to have Easy ETH be the liquidity baseline for all these chains, and we're there. It's only been a little over 2 months. We're moving at the speed of light. We're past $1 billion. Next stop, 2 billion, 3 billion. And I think we'll get there with some of these integrations and other important partnerships we have that we'll be rolling out soon. And then, once EigenLayer goes live, the fun really begins on all the complexity of risk management and the basket of assets and all that good stuff. But please go to the Renzo app, renzoprotocol.com. There's a big restake button, takes you to app.renzoprotocol.com. Please restake. It is easy on purpose. You can see the DeFi integrations there. You can track your points. I know everybody's wanting to track their points, so we want to make the Renzo app, the hub for all this, and it is, and we're constantly updating it there. Please follow Renzo Protocol on Twitter at Renzo Protocol. You'll see all the updates there. We have a ton of integrations that are in the pipeline, a ton that are multiple per day, and more on Linea. Expect CDAO, expect Gravita, expect other lending protocols, etc. This is a really, really big priority for us, high focus for us to build out this robust Renzo and Easy ETH ecosystem on your chain.
Amazing, man. Cam squared. We're out. Thank you everyone for hopping on, and we'll see everybody in a little bit.
Thanks, Cam. Ciao.
Peace.